You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. During the next hour, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Asking me lovingly to come and follow you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name? Here I am, as you will. Speak.
Good morning. You're listening to Dare to Love, and my name is Sister Lovina Francis Pammit. I am a Franciscan Sister of the Sacred Heart, and I'm the coordinator of the Religious Vocations Ministries in the Office for Religious in the Archdiocese of Chicago, and I also serve as coordinator of CAVA, which is the Chicago Archdiocesan Vocation Association, vocation ministers in Chicago and beyond. Today we have two guests, and because on May 1st we are celebrating Religious Brothers Day, and Chicago's got brothers, the election brothers, are here today. First, Father Tom Klein, and also with us is their second-year novice, Brother Carl Sisolak. Good morning, brothers.
Good morning, sister.
And so I think Brother Tom would like to introduce themselves and also about the election brothers. So why don't you go ahead and do that, Brother Tom?
Well, good morning, sister. I'm Brother Tom Klein. I'm Director of Ministry Development for the United States for the Alexian Brothers. And the Alexian Brothers go back right around 12. We have documentation going around 1245 in Aachen, Germany. We're a German order. So think about it this way. When St. Francis was in Italy, we were doing work in Germany. We were a mendicant order, started by men, and we are strictly brothers. And we've been pretty much over the last almost 800 years doing the presence of Jesus Christ in our ministries that we do. Our ministries of caring for the poor, the sick, the dying, and the unwanted. Basically being the presence of Christ to those in need.
That's wonderful. And so in terms of how you do this out in the world, you're very relational. And you said something, this word mendicant order. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. We were out in Germany pretty much how we supported ourselves. We, as in the Acts of the Apostles, the original people that were part of that sold all their possessions and lived together in community and used the money to support the ministry, as well as begged in the streets for the money to support themselves and the ministries.
Okay, great. So who would like to explain what you do first? Do you want to explain about your ministry, or because I'm very interested in finding out about Brother Carl, who is your novice? You know, I can't assume that everybody just knows what does a novice mean. We've heard of that word, and when I myself was a novice, we used to make fun of the word novice. So, oh, Holy One, Brother Carl, maybe we can start with you a little bit?
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
why don't you tell your journey, Brother Carl?
Well, I originally was born and raised in New Jersey, so my journey started there. But my journey started even when I was younger, but I just didn't know it because when it comes to God's journeys, as we all know, sometimes they're not a straight line, and mine was anything but a straight line. But that's sometimes the way God works. That He wants to bring us to where His will is for us, and so that's what I was looking to find out, even at a young age. Though when I started out as an accountant for for many certain years as a career. I thought that's what God's will was for me, but something was missing, and so I had to find out what that was. And I knew I always wanted to do something that brought me into contact with people. I know you mentioned, Sister Lovina, about relationship, and I think that's a lot about what our ministries teach us about what God's will is for us, is that we want to reach out to others and relate to others. And so that's something I was looking for in my life, and I knew God was leading me that way ever so patiently, in His time, not in mine, apparently.
So how did you meet the brothers?
I met the brothers after I had been for a while out on the West Coast, and had been doing some work there, doing accounting, but I'd also was thinking still about my vocation. And at one point, I thought maybe, and some other, on recommendation of others in the diocese out there, that maybe I'd be suitable for a religious vocation, but I didn't know where to start, or given my age, where I'd be accepted. Mm-hmm. But I found a magazine called Vision Magazine, which I think is pretty common for a lot of the ministry and vocation things.
Oh, yes.
And I found a copy at one of the offices out there, one of the church offices, and on one of those pages was this big advertisement on the Alexian brothers. And I was attracted to them immediately because of their ministry of presence to those, particularly in the healthcare ministries. And so I picked up the phone and called, and right away I was directed to Brother Patrick and Brother Zeke, who are part of the vocation department here, and they started me off on my journey here with the brothers.
That's great. So how long did it take for you to, do the inquiry, the interview process, and then finally getting accepted as discerner slash, I guess, affiliate, maybe? I'm not sure the terms, but to start out with, before you were accepted as a novice, how long did that take approximately?
I myself allowed it to take a year of time, and they were patient. The brothers were patient with me to wait and to make sure that the discernment is truly God's will, too. They prayed along with me, and I think prayer was a big, big part of that, because I had to know for sure in my heart that was what was calling me. And it gave me time during that year, too, to reflect on where my journey led me up to that point, and, what I was seeing, because if we don't take the time to stop, I think, and I had to do that, to take a look and reflect, then it'll pass you by pretty quick. So.
Right, and I agree with you about the prayer and the discernment. It's not something that you hurry, although that restlessness in the heart, I think it's something where you said you were an accountant, right? You already had a life, right?
Yeah, in a sense, yes. Mm-hmm. I had a career, and, it was pretty lucrative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think more and more we're finding that there's that, we call it that holy restlessness in the heart. And it's not like your life was bad or anything, or that you're looking for something better. It's just that I think that's part of that vocation, and your vocation story is something that I'm really, it's like that pattern of beauty in terms of how God calls us and how the Spirit works in your life. And then when you saw that Vision magazine, there was something in you that I think we're calling it that charism, which is that gift of that community matched with yours. And I know that the Vocation Network that produces Vision magazine has what's called a vocation match. So those discerners out there and those that are trying to support discerners, this is one tip for you, is go online and look for vocation match. And you will find vocationnetwork.com that produces Vision magazine, and that's what Brother Carl actually went to for a match. Because did you, by the way, go online and do a vocation match, or did you just follow your heart with the Vision magazine?
I did do some matches online just to check to see, and although I was very attracted to the Alexian brothers and I already contacted them, I also wanted sort of get the idea, get a picture in my mind what that vocation would be. Like, what would I be doing? Where would I be? Who would I be with? And so it was a good thing to do that too as well.
Yeah. So can you now I'm really interested because Brother Tom and I had a bit of a discussion last week about the novitiate process. I hear that you get to travel, or can you tell us a little bit more about your novitiate formation?
I can. It started with my postulancy, which is the first part of the process. And the first thing I found out is that my postulancy would be in Signal Mountain, Tennessee, and Brother Tom was going to be my director of postulancy at the time. And so I did. I made sure I was well prepared to go down to Tennessee, and I traveled down there, traveling light, of course. And I got down there, and as I met one or two of the brothers almost right away who took me right under their wing, and I got guidance as to what kind of ministries I could at least take a look at there and see if it was right for me. And I was there at the Alexian Village, which we have there, and also some outreach ministries there in Chattanooga too.
That's great. So where else have you been throughout your initial formation?
And then for my first year of novitiate, I went to the Philippines. It was sort of considered that we would do a year in the Philippines with the Filipino brothers in Davao, in Mindanao, to stay with them in community, to learn what community is about. Because your relationships, it's good to have that picture of ministry reaching out to others, but there's also relationships within community too. That's all part of being religious.
Oh, that's right. I know for me, I would have to say that I was already serving in the church as a single woman, but what called to me to religious life was community. And really, I think it's a gift. And I like to joke with others, it's also a curse. And the curse part is really, the part of the gift is that when you are in community, that's when you are molded together. They say that it's like a diamond in the rough, and then the diamond gets formed because of all the, when you're with people, the human condition, you learn about yourself what you never thought you had. Does that sound familiar to you, Brother Carl?
It does. And community eventually even becomes family.
That's right. And you get even deeper into
brothers
that.
And sisters really actually hits home as to what it's really about. Because those are words of family that are used, I think. And it really is good to have that support too. After you're being out with others, that you can share what you've experienced during the times of ministry when you're out away from them.
That's right. And actually, that's when you form that community, that a community of brothers, it forms that unit that then becomes something that ripples out to the entire community, and until it becomes even bigger. I don't know if Brother Tom mentioned to you that I'm from the Philippines, and I've never been to Davao, which is the southern part of the Philippines. I grew up in Luzon, which is the northern part of the Philippines. So you've been someplace I've never been, so that's really good. So exciting. And I'm kind of jealous because that's one thing that I've always thought, I wonder if I could travel around the Philippines. But then I went to the U.S. and I started traveling the U.S., which I really appreciate. We have such a beautiful country. But you've never been to Tennessee before, so that's kind of exciting too. Well, why don't we take a short break, and then it's probably about a couple of minutes, so listeners, don't go away. We'll come back with Brother Carl and Brother Tom.
Sometimes I wonder what this journey will bring, and you guide me faithfully to find a home in you. Here I am, did I hear you call my name? Here I am,
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship program provides a free opportunity for youth living in Lake County to spend time, virtually, with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youths age 9 to 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends and role models who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports each relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that is totally different from remote learning. Virtual group sessions help youth enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today. To learn more, call 312-937-3375. That's 312-937-3375.
Hello, I'm Cardinal Blaise Supich. I got my COVID-19 vaccination, and you should too. It took just a few seconds and was painless. The Food and Drug Administration determined the new vaccines are safe and effective, and the Holy See, as well as the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, has concluded getting the COVID-19 vaccine is an act of love of our neighbor and part of our moral responsibility for the common good. We have lived with the pandemic for many months, and I know we're all getting tired of it. Vaccination is one of the most important ways you can protect your health and the lives of those you love and help bring the pandemic under control. When it is your turn, I urge you to be vaccinated. And remember to do your part by wearing a mask, washing your hands, and watching your distance. Thank you, and God bless you all.
A love that dwells in all of your creation.
Sometimes I wonder what tomorrow brings. Give me the grace to love.
And we are back. This is Sister Lovina Francis Pammit. And this is Dare to Love that you're listening to. Thank you for staying with us. Our guests today are our election brothers, Brother Tom Klein and Brother Carl Sisolak. And we were just listening to Brother Carl's vocation story and his travels. Thank you, Brother Carl, for sharing all that. Now we shift to Brother Tom, because Brother Tom also travels a lot. And Brother Tom, why don't you tell us about your current ministry, and then maybe tell us a little bit about some of your adventures and how we kind of met up, because you used to be a CAVA member until you moved, and then you came back and got a hold of me again, so which is really lucky for us.
Yeah, thank you, Sister. My new assignment as of August 1st is Director of Ministry Development. The brothers are in a very, very exciting time in our history. And it seems like every couple hundred years, the reason why we've been around so long is because we reinvent ourselves. We look at the needs of society and to create ministries that will take care of the sick, the poor, the dying, and the unwanted, using our values of compassion, dignity of a person, care of the poor, holism, and partnership. So traditionally, we have been in the healthcare, the healing presence of Christ, the healthcare type of ministries. We are actually stepping out of our hospitals, the hospitals that we are familiar or famous for, and senior facilities, and looking at ministries that will serve the poor, the sick, and the dying, especially in the fields of senior care, more of a presence ministry, healthcare for the poor, working with immigration, shelter or transitional housing, homelessness, and possibly like a day center or even incarceration. These are the needs that we find are most unmet. And so we are in the process of redefining our ministries and ourselves by looking at those needs and developing ministries that will take care of those areas.
Right, and especially during COVID and the a lot of the crisis that's happening right now, I think that direct, relational, and active ministry is so much needed. So,
Absolutely. We often think of the miracles of Jesus, but he healed in so many ways. You look at, in my theology, in my belief, that he was a person, if a person needed uplifting or put his arm around a person telling him or her that everything's going to be okay, or just being present and listening and caring and loving. Because we're an order of love, care, and compassion. And we've been, again, like I mentioned, we've been doing that for almost 800 years.
that's right. So, and I think when we were talking last week, I think Thursday, you were mentioning that you yourself personally do outreach ministry twice a week. So where do you go for these ministries? Do you go somewhere regularly, or do you try different ministries around Chicago?
Yes, I would like to congratulate the sisters at Our Lady Queen of the Angels. The Franciscan Sisters of the Eucharist do a wonderful job. Brother Carl participates on Mondays, helping them prepare the boxes of food to give to the people in the neighborhood. And both Brother Zeke Mapa and myself on Tuesdays help load and deliver those boxes of food. And it gets up to about 700 families at a time, 800 families. So we're taking care of the need that is there. And then on Fridays, we volunteer at Timothy's ministry, which is a day center outreach for single living occupancies as well as the homeless. And we provide them with food, breakfast, and a lunch, as well as some spiritual and in ourselves listening presence. And both Brother Carl and I participate in that.
That's great. And then also, of course, you wear other hats other than doing the ministry. You're part of the provincial council as well, so that the administrative part of your hat, I believe.
Yes, I am. As of the end of last year, I was voted on the provincial council, which is our governing board for our province, which is the United States, the Philippines, and Hungary, as well as, and I'm very, very proud of Brother Carl. He was my first postulant, because I'm also the postulant director.
Ah, that's great. Yes, and so actually there was something, now I'm remembering Brother Carl mentioning that, Brother Carl, you were out on the West Coast when you met up with the Alexian brothers. So, but you were from New Jersey. So how long were you living out west before you met the Alexians?
I was living out west approximately 13 years.
Okay. Well, I lived out in the LA area for 15 years myself, and so I still have relatives there, and consider that part of the country as one of my homes. I have families everywhere in Texas also, and I love sometimes talking to people that have been to those places. So, and this is your first time out in the Midwest, then, I suppose.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. When you're in ministry, you're often, transitioning to different places too, where the communities most need you, where you can do the best good for the community and for the people that you minister to as a whole. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And actually, so I keep mentioning like last week because, several days ago, I actually saw Brother Carl and Brother Tom out in the Sienna Retreat Center in Wisconsin and Racine. I was in that program. I'm in a class for spiritual guidance training, and then the two of you were on a retreat. So it was just like, and it was actually interesting to me because sometimes it's hard to recognize each other wearing our masks. But Brother Tom was kind of like whispering, "Hey, didn't we see each other on Zoom?" And I started laughing. But it was great to see you both in person. So And it's good too because it reminded me that I was gearing up to have brothers to be a guest because we on May 1st we are celebrating Religious Brothers Day, and so I thought, well, I think people, especially in the Chicago area, need to know that we do have brothers. So, and Brother Seek, I would have invited, but he kind of works more in the background, and he's the vocation director. Is that correct, Brother Seek?
Yeah, Brother Zeke is our director of vocations. Correct.
Yeah, and I know that, and I guess I'm not sure if I've met Brother Patrick before, but I know the Alexian brothers have always been part of the Cava family. And you were referring to, when you were talking about the Franciscan sisters, it's the Franciscans of the Eucharist of Chicago, founded by, well, I knew him as Father Bob Lombardo, but now he is Bishop Robert Lombardo. But he is such a humble soul that, if I forget and I say, Father Bob, he's perfectly fine with it. And most recently, you were asking if I've talked to them. They participated with the night prayer and adoration for the 12-hour prayer marathon that is actually still available on our YouTube channel. So if people are into YouTube, I invite folks to look for those prayers. We have ready-made videos for praying for the rest of Lent, and I think several of them you can pray with outside of the Lenten season. Especially some of the ones that are not necessarily Lenten themed. And you can look for our channel under Vocations Cava on YouTube. And also on our website, vocationscava.org, you will find the information for the hour-by-hour schedule on that one. So, and I'm hoping that maybe next time, because we're really coming to a close, we only have like a minute. It's been great to talk to both of you, Brother Carl and Brother Tom, and I'm so happy and I feel privileged to have had you on this program. Maybe just a brief blessing from either of you to close our program.
Yes, be happy to. Heavenly Father, we come to you today. We thank you for the many gifts that you've given us and the gifts that you are about to give us. We ask you to bless us during this week, this special week of holiness. We ask you to bless our friends, our families. We ask you to bless Brother Carl as he prepares for his final or first vows. We ask you to continue to love us and that we may serve as Jesus serves and served. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Before I forget, how can we reach you?
You can reach us at alexianbrothers.org.
So alexiansbrothers.org. And then if someone is interested in vocations, to call for Brother Seek. Thank you so much both, Brother Carl and Brother Tom. It's been a privilege. God bless everyone. May God bless you and give you peace.